Motion, it's everywhere, from the fish in the sea to the wind in the air, the spinning tops, the waves in the ocean, seeing how fast you can slide down that slide, the people and the ball in water polo, this machine that helps keep the grass down, and even you playing on the playground. Today we're going to look at our third grade standards about forces in motion and the patterns in motion. We're going to make some observations and measurements of an object's motion and provide evidence that a pattern can be used to predict future motion. Our objective is we're going to investigate different patterns of motion, what forces are in action during that motion, and how that motion ends. Let's review. What is motion? Motion is the action or process of being moved or moving. Let's investigate this a little bit further. Let's start by looking at what happens when I roll a soccer ball and a basketball down my yard. Let's take another look at those two balls in my yard coming down the hill. What do we notice? What is happening? How far do they go? Why are they stopping? Friction. What is it? It is the resistance that one surface or object encounters when moving over another. In this example, the friction between the two sticks is causing heat and causing a fire to begin. So what friction is in my yard? What's causing those balls to slow down and stop? As this video happens, you notice the balls running over the grass. And then when they stop, I have to go and kick them again. The grass in my yard is causing friction against the balls and causing them to slow down and stop. Now what happens when I roll the balls down my driveway? Do they stop? So why do our basketball and our soccer ball go further and faster on the driveway than they did in the exact same spot on the grass? On the driveway, there is a lot less friction stopping their path. So now let's look at and compare the grass and my driveway. Why did the balls, when they were rolling down the grass, stop on their own? And why, when they were rolling down the driveway, did they not stop until they ran into something that stopped them? The answer is simple. There's a lot more friction on the grass. If we zoom in a little bit closer on the grass, you can see the grass blades sticking up. You can see leaves and other objects that would cause more friction. When we come over to the driveway, while yes, there are some rocks and there are some little bits of grass, it's not nearly as much friction causing material, which means that the ball was able to travel unimpeded until it ran into my tripod, where it was forced to stop because it hit another force that was just as strong as the gravity pulling it down the hill. Now that we've looked at what happens when the balls come down the hill, what happens when I try to push the balls up the hill? What do they do? Do they go as far? Do they come rolling back down? Why or why not does all of that happen? And now let's see what happens when we investigate and roll the balls back up the driveway, where we already know there's less friction. Why do the balls come rolling back down towards us? What is all happening here? How come there's all of these differences? Is it still friction, or is gravity playing a part? Reminder, gravity is the force by which a planet or other body draws objects towards its center. The force of gravity keeps all the planets in orbit around the sun. It also keeps all of us on the planet. Now let's take a look and see if the slope at which the balls are rolling makes any difference in their speed and where they stop. In this example, Declan is putting the balls down the slide. What about if he bounces them a little bit? Miss. In our last example, we have the balls going down the slide, and then we show how far they can go with the slope. They go pretty far thanks to the slope of the slide, and there's less friction and resistance on the slide as well. In this lesson, we have investigated the effects of gravity, friction, and slope on two separate balls. We looked at how the balls reacted when rolling down through a yard in the grass, on cement in the driveway, and down a slide at the park. We looked at how the gravity and the friction, or the resistance, impacted each result. I hope you enjoyed our lesson today, and I hope you learned a little bit more about gravity, friction, and slope.